right, folks, we are here in-game in Columbia City once again to do the first monotonous Suburban expansion episode. I mean, there are going to be a lot of these, but this is the first one, and it's obviously going to be the most special one. So, as you remember last episode, we sort of worked on some suburbs, but not too many. But today, we are going to be focusing basically exclusively on suburbs. We're going to have sort of a main street that we work on for commercial, but then as you move out away from it, you're going to have residential, and you'll see how it goes as we build. I don't want to give too much away, but we'll use some Google Earth reference. I want to show you, how the zoning works in the area that I am sort of basing this off of. So we're going to be using the houses we worked on in the asset editor. So if you're wondering, these are not on the workshop. They are either workshop houses or houses from University City, the Content Creator Pack by King Leno. And I've gone into the asset editor and pre-detailed them so that I don't have to detail them in game here. And Taser here has a tutorial on that if you'd like. And it's a pretty useful method. Let me just say that, because I don't know how long it would have taken to create this suburb that I did here without this method. I have no idea. It probably would have taken a couple of episodes at least, but instead we were able to just grind through it in one episode. So don't worry, it's not just me placing buildings. We do end up obviously working on the Main Street area. We have to work with a lot of these weird slopes. So remember, my my go-to thing here is just covered up with trees if it doesn't work. So that's what I end up doing, and just add a lot of trees to cover up the back lots. I try to use lower triangle trees, like these Padelmo trees, live oak trees, not necessarily lower poly, but if I have to cover some stuff up, I'll use lower poly trees generally. And the amount of trees I place will, depend on how bad the elevation change is. But this is really all I can do here. A better option would be to have different sized grids, although I don't really want to do that because I want to standardize them throughout the city, though that doesn't really matter too much. I don't think that matters. Okay, so I want to do a couple things today. We've got a decently long episode. Pretty long episode. I think we're gonna end up hitting something around 35 minutes if I end up going in and recording some live gameplay. Last episode was about 40 minutes. Hopefully you guys liked that. I want to give you a lot of video every week because I'm only giving you one video a week. Although I could probably just make one video a week instead, or I could make 2 videos a week instead rather, and have them be shorter. I'm just not sure what you guys want. So, tell me in the comments what you think about that, whether you like longer or shorter videos. And when I say long, 35 minutes to 40 minutes, or 30 to 40 minutes, say, and then shorter, anywhere from 15 to 25. So those are the parameters you've got. Because if I choose one option, then I'll end up sticking to stuff within that parameter generally. But it is very efficient in terms of minutes created for making these longer videos. I've realized I don't need to put in as much production quality as I was doing before for some earlier episodes of New Windsor. Really what these videos are about is the commentary and the gameplay, and then also the builds that I feature, because we do that now. But it's really nothing more than that, and adding anything more makes them a lot more complicated. Although I do obviously break things up, like right here with a cinematic. So let's get started with, I mean, something other than what's going on in game, because it's the same thing over and over again. But I think we should feature a build right now. I think that'd be a good thing to do. So let's go over here to Ale's Dying Northeast City. So I really like this project because of how simply American it is. I mean, look at this ridiculous freeway going through downtown and just surrounding the surrounding areas. Like, what? This is basically epitomizes everything that people on urbanist Twitter hate about cars in one image. It's right there. That is crazy. I mean, no wonder the city's got problems. And you see the freeway going out here to the suburbs. This is American. This is very American. Just get to work by car. Have no thought to what that does in the aggregate. Yeah, I mean, this is very American. Look at this, parking lots everywhere. You got the row houses near downtown, and the neighborhood's been destroyed by the interchange with these row houses. It's very sad. There's a toll on neighborhoods, individual neighborhoods, because you gotta build the freeways through them. Like, imagine San Francisco right now with the freeways that would have existed there if not for the protesters. It's not something that we should simply ignore, and that's why I've been ranting about cars on Twitter so much recently. So yeah, amazing project. This is a very very interesting project, and I'm really happy that somebody encapsulated a lot of things I see wrong with American cities just in one project. So that's great. Alright, so in game right now, what we're doing is we're building these apartments here. I've placed a parking garage. I end up using this UK road, this rural UK road with walls on the side to connect it to the garage, which actually works pretty well because it doesn't create a slope. It's almost like an elevated road, but it has retaining walls on the side, which is pretty cool. And then I'm adding some apartments on the other side of the street as well. So the idea here is the zoning for this neighborhood it goes as follows. You have these neighborhood grids, which are, just residential, single family residential, right? But then you've got this main road, the road here that's got the two-way bike lane on it, and that is totally mixed zoning and much higher density. So you can see this in Seattle, in the area that I'm working on. It's Seattle equivalent. You've got all of these different, random buildings on the main street, and I really like this neighborhood because looking from above, you can really see the zoning contrasts on Google Earth between the main street and the suburbs surrounding it. So that main street has shops, it has apartments, everything in the middle, and I'm actually adding this commercial street going shooting off from it as well. And then remember, like, these main streets are going to have the commercial, residential is going to be elsewhere. So it's very well-defined zoning. But that bike street that we've got up there has sort of mixed zoning. And I guess this commercial street has slightly mixed zoning because I placed some apartments there. It's a commercial building with apartments up above, theoretically. But yeah, I'm trying to pay a lot of attention to zoning and how that happens in West Coast cities, because a lot of the time it's very well defined and well separated for good or ill, and that's just sort of how it works. So you see I'm adding a bunch of residential here. Actually, I'm using some triple-decker houses because they look good as like old apartments. Then I'm also using different apartment buildings, commercial buildings over there, and then it ends up looking great in the end. And so that bike road, as you saw before, like it's got white lines, white dashed lines in the middle. Unfortunately, and that's not one way, that's two way. So I don't want that because this is an American city. So later on in the episode, we're actually going to add a yellow line over it. I would add a double yellow line, but it's sort of hard to do that and also cover the white line. So we just add a single thick yellow line, and it's not perfect, but it looks better than the dashed white lines for this American city, if that makes sense. So yeah, you'll see that a little later. But yeah, overall, I'm just trying to cover this cliffside here with vegetation. I'm using the same sort of tricks I use in New Windsor to get away from detailing and just, you know, just place a lot of trees just to cover up all the imperfections, which there's nothing inherently wrong with that. It's just, you know, it's a good way to build relatively quickly without problems, especially if you use decently low poly trees. You're fine. Like, I'm using a lot of Podelmo stuff here, but then I'm adding Mr. Mason stuff as well, just so that I can get, you know, those primary trees in there, because my primary trees in this city are Mr. Mason trees, definitively. Like a lot of the spruce trees by Mr. Mason, the Scots pines. I place a lot of live oaks and the London plane trees as my, you know, deciduous trees, and those are the staples of the city. But if I'm going to build a, you know, some area and I'm covering stuff up and it's trees that are just there for, you know, just to be vegetation of some sort, I'll use some Podelmo trees because they're lower tri trees. But since this is the Pacific Northwest, I want to go with some, you know, pretty high poly, very detailed trees as my main trees that you see that are like very iconic to the series. So that's why I'm choosing Mr. Mason trees for that purpose, because they sort of, you know, fit the criteria of you know, very detailed and very iconic. So and I'm doing a little detailing here, like I'm placing some rocks and like bushes, but like that's about as far as I go. I do love the new Mr. Mason ferns. I don't know how new they are, I just haven't gotten to use them until now. But they're really, really good. So you'll see me every once in a while just placing those. And we do an area later where we place a path through a residential neighborhood, a dirt path. And you know, I'll show you that and how I work with the vegetation detailing there, because I think it shows the way I'm, you know, detailing in terms of vegetation in the city pretty well. So we'll do that. Next episode, I don't know what we're going to do. I think for the next video, we're probably going to have a New Windsor video, because I'm going to have to pop in game to New Windsor to do some stuff, just some housekeeping, and record a sort of a special video, you'll see. And it'll be, it's going to be pretty boring, generally, what we're going to be doing in New Windsor moving forward. Like, because I don't know what else we can do. Actually, you know what? We could do the lake community, because I need something to rocket boost me into having at least a bit of motivation for New Windsor, because I'm not that motivated with the city right now. That's why I haven't been uploading videos of it. But I think if we worked on that lake community, we might be able to get somewhere, because that's going to be really cool, very detailed, and it'll bring out a lot of Northeast vibes, because... And, you know, like, so with New Windsor, like, we don't have any really big projects coming up. We're going to be working on, like, some harbor stuff for cargo, but it's going to be relatively old. It's going to be very, you know, deteriorated. It's not going to be a state-of-the-art cargo harbor. Like, we're not going to be building, you know, Long Beach Harbor or anything. The Port of Long Beach, rather. Like, we're not going to be doing anything like that. But it'll be something. And then other than that, we're not building an airport. We might build, like, maybe a small airfield, like general aviation. That could be cool. But the idea is New Windsor is so close to a big city that it doesn't really matter. It's like so Hartford, I guess you could say it's like Springfield, Massachusetts in that sense, because Springfield, Massachusetts technically doesn't have its own airport, but Hartford's airport sort of serves the purposes of Springfield, and it's pretty close. So yeah, like, that's the idea with New Windsor, because I don't really have a good place on the map for a huge airport, and I really don't want to build a ridiculous airport like I tried before, and it didn't work with the city. On the other hand, we're going to have a perfect spot for a big airport in Columbia City, so that's where I want to focus our efforts in terms of air travel. And Calavera Beach will be up at who knows when. I don't know. I mean, I'm actually, like, I just need to get into it and, like, be okay with being imperfect with those cliffside houses, and then we'll get back into it. We've got so much revamping to do in that series, because a lot of the shoreline is not detailed the way I want it to be detailed, and I don't know. I still haven't figured out the cliff sides either. in the level of detail I'm going to go for there. I can't be a perfectionist, so I'm probably going to end up needing to do very low detail for the cliff sides, because oftentimes that actually looks better than high detail stuff. We'll see how it goes, but for now, I'm really still motivated with Columbia City, so that's what I'm keeping up with. But you can expect New Windsor probably for the next video. But yeah, so another thing, I mean, I always plug it at the end of the video, but it's way at the end of the video. But if you want to follow me on my Instagram, that is always in the description. I've been trying to be very active on there. So like, whereas with Twitter, I post, I mean, honestly, mostly with Twitter, it's like random musings about like if I have a problem with electronics or something, or if I want to rant about cycling and stuff, because I mean, I sort of feel like I'm obligated to. That's where I do it, because I've got like some sort of platform that's sort of interested in, you know, urban planning to some extent, and the transportation that goes along with that. So that's where I'll rant about transit and stuff. And then I don't post screenshots on Twitter anymore. Like, rarely will I post screenshots, although I should, because whenever I do, I get a lot of likes. But where I've been posting all my screenshots is Instagram. Like, I don't even use Reddit anymore, nothing like that. I don't bother with Reddit. I just use Instagram. That's where I post the screenshots, because you guys are able to get them right to your feed, and it's, you know, I get a nice gallery going. It's great. However, I do delete Instagram most of the day. Like, I figured out, so if you guys are wondering, like, how you can figure out how to quit social media, but you really need a certain social media app for something, like for Instagram, I can't use it on the web, but I've got, you know, I've got group chats with friends that are only on Instagram, right? And so I have to have Instagram, but I don't want to have the habit of just looking at it every second of the day, and just being, oh, I've got a spare second, might as well pull out my phone. But like, how do you break that without deleting it? Well, no, you delete it, but you can just install it at the end of the day after you've gotten all your work done. So, I mean, I set like a schedule for myself to find goals for the day. Once those are done, I get to just be lazy on Instagram, but I usually don't feel like it because I've sort of gotten out of the habit of caring about it, if that makes sense. So that's something that you might be able to try. Like, I haven't heard that suggested. Like, sometimes people will suggest using social media at a certain time of day, but the discipline for that's pretty hard. If you just delete it off your phone for most of the day, and then only reinstall it at, you know, a given point once you have, you know, finished your goals, otherwise you're an absolute loser. That works for me, so give it a try. Tell me how that works for you, because I've had success in the couple days that I've done it. Like, you know, I feel a lot clearer and more focused when I'm working on my work, which was the goal. And I'm still able to participate in group chats and whatever. I tell people to, if they, you know, need to contact me, text me, because I actually get those notifications. God, how did we get here? Okay, so we're working on some like trees on the sides of these suburban streets here. So these suburbs are really cool. I love these suburbs. These are like, these suburban houses that we ended up working with are easily my favorite out of the ones that I've worked on in the asset editor. So once again, these are custom houses from the workshop and from the content creator pack by King Leno, but I edited them in the asset editor with basic detailing so that it looks good in game, and it looks way better in game than it otherwise would. Like, these look great. I'm really happy with these. So if you want to do the same, Taser here has made a tutorial on it, so you can check that out. It is definitely a method, like, I, you know, do not regret starting out with. So I was first introduced to this method by Jay or Besquigglehausen, and I thought it was sort of stupid. Why would I want to do this? This is so dumb. Like, and, you know, I'm not working with grids in New Windsor. Why would, you know, it's not going to work. And then I did it, and then I just saved so much time. So, I mean, we've gotten a lot done today. I'm happy with what we got done. I tried to make sure I was able to commentate on the most important parts by the main street, but, I mean, other than that, we're just generally going off and filling out grids here, so that's basically what this episode was. We did a lot of sort of expansion in this episode, and I'm very happy with where we ended up. We're going to go into live gameplay in just a moment to just check out everything we did and put it in context, but for now, I want to show you this sort of area we're working on here. So what I'm trying to do is, as we move further out from downtown, we're going to have larger and larger lots. So as you might have noticed, I generally just place, 2x4 lots, but here I placed some 3x4 lots, and we'll end up placing 4x4 lots as we move further out. But the idea is to have larger and larger lots as we move further out. We'll see how we're able to implement that, but here's that dirt path I was talking about earlier. We're just putting it behind these houses because I didn't really have anything else to put here, and this was sort of the best way to get this zoning to work right. And these ferns here are really nice. They're really nice. So you'll see me place these ferns just sort of on the side of the trail. They look really good. I am so happy that those are on the workshop. I should go download the old, I forget, I think they're TPB ferns that I remember from a long time ago. I just haven't used them in so long, I haven't thought to download them, but I think those would probably be good as well. I'm just generally trying to keep my, foliage portfolio pretty slim for the series in general. But yeah, that's about it for me for the time-lapse here. Let's hop into some live gameplay. I want to put what we just built in context and talk about some plans for transit, because things are changing up a little bit. Alright folks, we are here, we are in-game, and we are going to take a look at what we just built in this episode and talk about stuff, because that's what we do in-game. Okay, so last episode we worked on this area over here. We got started with the suburbs, and then we, worked on this business district and the greenway. But as you can see, I have changed this light rail over to a Metro Overhaul mod rail. And why did I do this? Because I actually tried to work on a video for Columbia City where we begin the subway network for downtown, but I tried to do it with the light rail network that we had before. See, the light rail network that I was using allows you to, what is going on here? It allows you to build underground light rails very effectively. The problem is stations underground make absolutely no sense, and the only station on the workshop for light rails that is underground is here. I'll just show it to you. I think I showed it to you in the last episode. This is what it looks like here. It looks like this. So you have to have this for every subway station, which is totally impractical. So we're going to end up needing to just use, the traditional Metro Overhaul mod. And in terms of trains, I have the trains that I showed you last episode, the Seattle light rails. I'm going to convert those to Metro Overhaul mod trains, and we're going to have those. I also want to figure out how to create a second instance of them so that they're able to be light rails as well, because in Seattle there is an above ground light rail that goes in between an avenue, and I can't really do the in between the avenue thing with Metro Overhaul mod. That's just not going to work. So we're going to have to figure that out, but I'm pretty confident that I'm going to be able to make that part work. But yeah, we're just going to end up not being able to connect the lines, but most of Seattle's light rail system is just above ground elevated or subway, so this will probably end up being fine in the end in terms of practicality. And in terms of lines, I haven't really planned anything out because, remember, I sort of removed everything we had here. So we've got like an above ground light rail road, but this is going to end up disappearing. We're not going to have above ground light rail there or here. We're just going to end up having a subway that ends up going out here. This is going to be the line that goes out towards the airport. And then we're probably going to have some sort of subway line that either goes to this county, so this county over here, which is a different county, might need a light rail line, although I'm thinking instead of light rail, we bring a train over here. But we'll see. Because I want to do heavy rail. I I just don't know how I'm gonna get heavy rail over the water here. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, if I did light rail, I could go underground. But yeah, I haven't planned too much out. It keeps changing, but I want to have 2 main lines for the light rail slash subway slash whatever. And we'll see how that pans out. In terms of infrastructure, we do need to revamp our highway system, which I think somebody mentioned recently. So in terms of what we have to do, we have this highway that goes out over here, and then it sort of connects through downtown, and that's what we worked on in the last episode. And then we have this. So this sort of goes into downtown via this disgusting viaduct, which stays, by the way. Once again, until further notice, it stays. And I'll fix the pillars, don't worry. But that goes through downtown. And I have it curving off here right now, but it probably won't. This is probably going to end up being the highway that goes over the bridge here. That'll probably be what that is. And it'll end up just being, you know, on the ground, so not elevated as we go up here. And this is going to be sort of a wealthy suburb right here. I placed this San Francisco tower here because it's just so... Look at this model. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, like look at downtown in the background with them. Oh, yeah, it's a good model. And the LOD is really good as well. If you guys know of any good radio towers that have like good LODs, like that I can actually see from far away, definitely recommend them to me because I'm looking for some radio towers to place in this neighborhood over here that we just worked on. But yeah, so I guess we've talked about the transit. We've talked about transit a lot recently. I mean, I think a big thing is, once again, going to be the highway infrastructure. We need a main connection coming out through here. I don't know if that's going to be in the form of this national road, or this national road, or whatever. We've got another national road. Okay, this doesn't actually lead out of the city. So we got two main national road connections. I don't know if those are going to really be functional or anything. I do know this highway goes through here, and then another idea is to have a highway come across and just go through, like sort of by the airport, and then cross over into the mountains. I think that's probably going to end up being our best bet. But then the question is sort of where to bring this. We'll see. I, once again, have not planned it out. But we're probably going to have to do more infrastructure planning soon because we have used a lot of the roads that we have planned out. And this episode we had to build roads to, you know, build on for the episode. So I don't want to be doing that every episode. I want to have more of a plan. But yeah, so look at this suburb. It's really nice. I mean, if you haven't noticed already, it's a really nice suburb. This is, yeah. Look at that. I mean, it's so easy to get, like, I could just fly around effortlessly and have, like, this is photorealistic right here. Which I am very happy with. That was the goal. Very, very, very low effort. I'm just placing trees here, some planter trees, and then the houses. That's it. I've detailed them already in the asset editor, and it just looks like a beautiful neighborhood. Who would not want to live here? It's just wonderful. But, I mean, these slopes are concerning, but nobody really cares. Like, you're not going to look at them. We're just covering them up with trees, and you just get views like this, which I don't think you can complain about. And then I have a lot of cinematics in this episode that you'll end up seeing. What is the deal with this? Why does this curve in here? I'm going to have to fix that because that's going to bother me to no end. It's like, yeah, I think what happened is this got moved. And then that is much better, actually. Okay, I'm going to save the game. Let's go save 6. There we go. So, I mean, that's basically it for the episode. We did build some stuff. I'm happy with what we built. This street looks great. The single yellow line is not ideal. Definitely not ideal. But we've got a nice little street going here. And I like it. It is not very highly detailed. This is ridiculous, but this fence, I don't know, whatever. Nobody cares. It's just a neighborhood. This is what happens when the Yimbies get their way. They get to build their crazy apartment buildings across the street from, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Smith's NIMBY household. It's wonderful. I mean, look at this beautiful Yimby image right here. But yeah, I guess I'll leave you with this beautiful, beautiful Yimby image of wonderfully mixed zoning right here. And that's about it for the episode. Hopefully you all enjoyed. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. It really does help out a ton. And subscribe if you're new around here. Hit the bell icon next subscribe button to get notified whenever I upload a new video. And you can support me on Patreon. If you give me $1, you get to watch the next video right now, just right this second. So go do that. I definitely recommend it. It also really does help out a ton, the support that I get on there, because it adds up, and it's really helping me justify like putting so much time into YouTube, which is, something I really enjoy, but it's, a lot of time goes into it. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I've explained earlier, I rant on there and stuff. Follow me on Instagram for good screenshots. Both of those are in the description below, and that's about it. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.